Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about shoes and leather. And if leather is still the best material for shoes. I think we could argue that decades ago especially, it was wildly considered the best. But is that still the case? And I just want to talk about sustainability and leather and shoes in particular. I made a video a few years ago about leather versus faux leather, and that continues to get some views and some debates in the comments and questions, and most of my thoughts from that video remain true. I am someone who tends to shop leather more secondhand. I still believe in the durability, the power of leather, the long-lasting nature of leather, and that you can continue to repair it and pass it down and all of that. And I also am very interested in the new alternative leathers that are being created. What I was talking about in that video was that I don't like how faux leather is mostly plastic. And I think we just need to consider shoes a little bit more, because shoes are more complicated than bags when it comes to the necessary components of it and the abilities that the materials have to be able to withstand in order for them to be durable at all. I just want to chat with you all about it, talk about where my head is around this topic right now, where I'm hoping it will be in the future, and get your feedback on it and what you all are thinking about it. So I have a few shoe brands that I continuously go to. They're the brands that I get pretty much all of my shoes from. I continue to wear those shoes. They get love from me, and anything that doesn't work out for me, I resell. So that is still the way that I deal with shoes. Two of the three brands, I'd say maybe there are four brands that I shop, but one of them, which is Allbirds, which is doing great stuff in terms of sustainability and research and all of that and materials. I have the same style that I buy over and over again, which is the Tree Dasher sneaker, but I don't wear them for like all of my shoe needs. So I'm not really counting them as one of the brands. The brands are Ally, Sarah Flint, and Rothy's. That is what I wear. I do have a few other brands in my wardrobe, but that's what I consistently buy. I'm lucky enough to be sent shoes or given shoes at a discount, and so I'm able to fill my closet with these brands that I care about and love. Two of the three of those use leather, and I have gravitated slowly away from leather, certainly in clothes. I still buy leather bags, but almost exclusively secondhand if it's going to be, an animal-derived leather. And then even like furniture and things, I've gravitated away from leather or am purchasing them secondhand. So that's still where my head is on this topic. But I've learned a little bit more about shoes. I've considered more vegan brands of shoes, and I'm kind of still in this like muddled position. There is not a clear answer to me of what this should be. Part of the reason for that is I think that we are on the precipice. We're at the beginning of a breakthrough in material science. We have already had so many interesting factors happen, and I'm supporting some of these companies, and I'm certainly following them and watching them. It is to me the most exciting part of fashion right now, and certainly what I think is going to be revolutionary in terms of sustainable fashion. So I love all of that. And I'm getting excited to support the brands who are making big strides in doing the research in that field. And so that is still the case. And the more I learn about leather and the more I learn about fashion and footwear and how it's created and all of that, the more I'm interested in these alternative leathers, these plant-based leathers or leather-like materials or whatever that might be, or just plant-based materials that work. They don't even have to, try to be leather. Plant-based materials that have these possibilities. The reality, though, is that we're just not there yet. We're so close. Again, big strides are being made. Happy to support those brands that are making those strides. But I really think in the next decade or so, we're going to see big changes. And I don't want to necessarily invest fully in items that I'm only going to wear for a few years until those come out, that kind of thing. What I'm trying to do right now in my wardrobe, in my home, in my life, is to drastically eliminate the amount of plastic that I use, the amount of plastic that I bring into this house, that actually gets worn and used. And I just want to find new alternatives to that. In food, you know, we've started to use a lot of glass things. We're going to refilleries in place where we can, you know, just stock up on goods without using plastic. There's still some plastic that we use, but I'm trying to make sure that it's plastic that, you know, actually can be recycled and is being recycled responsibly using TerraCycle. There's all sorts of things that are happening, but I'm trying to cut down on waste and cut down on plastic. That includes obviously synthetic fibers and things like that. And you might be thinking, well, one of those 3 brands that you talked about makes everything they make out of recycled plastic, which is true. And that is Rothy's. And I still continue to like Rothy's and gravitate towards them. I think that they are doing some okay things. I think that the knit is smart and it's practical and it can be washed and reworn and you can get a lot of use out of it. Obviously, there's a microplastics issue with washing. Obviously, you're wearing plastic and that doesn't breathe. It's not great for your skin and your bloodstream and all of that. So absolutely, there are drawbacks to that. But I do think that that is what I am wearing and using and makes sense for me right now. I am hoping that that changes. I know Allbirds has had some great materials that have come out and I just don't like the designs as much and I just haven't found them to be as comfortable and I just don't wear them. And you have to be practical with what you're actually going to get worn and used and loved. And, you know, Rothy's also has a great resale market and all of that sort of thing. So do I think like everything should be like a knit fabric? Sure, that's great for flats and things that I wear, you know, like this. And again, I'm hoping that we come up with some non-plastic materials. Rothy's claims that they're diverting ocean plastic. There's a whole big controversy on whether we should actually be using recycled plastic in our clothing. I think shoes are better than clothes, but that's a whole other topic that, you know, we could get into another time if anyone's interested in it. So yeah, it's certainly better than like virgin polyester, you know, virgin plastics being in there, but not the best. So where does that leave leather? And I don't know, you know, like I think that there's still this real issue with leather and the meat industry and the connection of that. And I don't want to talk about everything that I talked about in that other video a few years ago. I still think leather is probably the best that we've got. The reason for that is because very, very few, if any, of the leather alternatives, the plant-based materials, are able to be made fully without plastic. Mirum is one of the only ones that exists right now, and I just haven't really seen that in the shoe area and see it performed and see it, you know, out there in styles and things that I want and will use. There are, I will list a couple in the description box. I will list a couple of vegan leather shoes in case that's interesting to you, but do know that the majority of them are plastic. So I'm taking a sustainable fashion course, and we had a guest speaker who came in, and her name is Casey Dworkin, and she is the creator and designer, I think, behind the brand Sylvan, New York. And she is so interesting because the brand did not used to be a vegan brand, but is now a vegan brand. And she gives a lot of talks and she's really smart. And one thing that she said, which I think is absolutely true, the more I look into it and the more I learn about it, is that you have people who are like, who swear by leather, and you have people who swear by vegan materials, and they both have sources to back up why the other one is terrible and they're the way to go, but they'll never see eye to eye. And it really just, they're just very biased, like research camps. And it's so interesting to see. And I follow, you know, people who are leaders on both sides, and I absolutely see that happening. So, you know, I don't think there's a perfect source out there or anything like that. But the other thing she said is just the reality of she's using all of these cool materials, and just so many of them are plastic based. And if that fits your values and that's your ethics more than leather, then yeah, great, right? That's a great alternative. But for me right now, plastic and waste is kind of like the biggest thing for me. The ethics in general and the animal ethics and everything and all of the problems that can happen with leather that are really weighing on me on the other side. So it's a really tough conundrum, you know. Where do you get, like she even said, like something can be fully wrapped in a leather material, but the binding of it is almost always plastic behind, like the plant-based thing, the polymers that they're using. She said even in a fully leather shoe, a lot of the times, like the rod that's in the heel or the heel itself is plastic. So, you know, you can't win in terms of like, there really isn't anything perfect out there yet. And I think yet is the key word, because I really am interested to see kind of where this all goes. So the leather brands that I follow, I love. I know the creators personally. I hear about them. I talk about them. I have conversations with them about the sustainability of their brands. And I think that they're doing really, really good things. And I think that they're making high quality leather shoes as sustainably as they can right now. That's kind of all I can ask, right? And so I appreciate that these small brands, you can trace their supply chain, and you can do all sorts of things. Like, they are making waves in sustainability and sustainable fashion. So I appreciate that. But right now they're using leather, and that still feels like the best thing to me personally. But it's tough. It's so tough. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for letting me just kind of spew and rant to you for a little while, because all of this has been clearly going on in my head, and I can't wait to see what it all looks like. Even 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you know, these organizations that are either funding this research or are doing this research or are creating these interesting products, they're so fascinating to me. And they're making great strides. It's not quite there, but it's getting there, and I can't wait to see. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts down below. I want to know leather, vegan leather, plant-based materials, knit plastics, like how does all that weigh into your shoe decisions and where you are in terms of your thoughts on sustainability? Thank you all so much for watching. I would love to continue this conversation, and I hope to see you in a future video. Bye.